Hello and welcome back to the book club. Today we're joined by author Violet Morley. Violet's new book, Promises in Pompeii, is out on the 29th of March, and today she's joining us for a short Q&A. Welcome, Violet.
Hello, All Stars Book Club. My name's Violet Morley, author of soon-to-be 3 Sapphic novels. Thank you for having me.
Can you tell us a bit more about the setting for the book?
So I've always been fascinated by stories from history. The book is set between two towns, Pompeii and Herculaneum. Both towns were actually destroyed in the explosion of Mount Vesuvius. But don't worry, it has a happy ending. Pompeii was something I learned about in school and was always really fascinated about the story and what happened. And in my early 20s, I was able to visit the site. It wasn't until my wife suggested Pompeii as a setting when she saw me struggling with the concept of my next book. And as soon as she suggested it, a light went on and I hit the ground running and the story came pretty fast after that.
The book is set in ancient Rome. Did you have to do lots of extra research for the book?
Pretty sure my wife was sick of me starting each sentence with, "Hey, did you know in ancient Rome?" and then jumping into a impromptu history lesson. I had to research everything from like the plants, what kinds of foods they ate, how kitchens were set up, to even like ancient Roman undergarments. Who knew? I didn't. So, for example, I had at one point had the characters sitting under a lemon tree and found out later that lemons weren't introduced in ancient Rome until much later, which lemons, who knew? I didn't. So everything had to be looked into. Housing, how the rich and the poor's houses were set up, like what kids did to pass the time during the day. Most worked. It was very hard for kids back then. There were specific things that I wanted to hit that actually happened in Pompeii, which is why the story incorporates a 20-year span. The issue I did run into specifically with research was that there was quite a discrepancy of information between rich and poor. So the rich information was preserved way better. So Helvia's story was a little bit easier to find information on and how her family would have possibly been set up, but Octavia's I had to dig quite a bit deeper.
Can you tell us a little bit more about Helvia and Octavia? What are the characters like?
So the story starts them off as kids. Helvia is rich, but extremely lonely, while Octavia, her family is poor, but she doesn't lack for support or love. The dynamics weaved in the story continue with Octavia being strong, thoughtful, and a huge protector, especially to Helvia. While Octavia doesn't have any money, she has freedom, and Helvia doesn't want for anything, but is constricted with the expectations for her.
What are the main themes of Promises in Pompeii?
I think the main themes are strength of friendship and how love can change and evolve as the characters do. The book goes through some really hard aspects of living in ancient Rome and dealing with love and loss and really everything in between. There are some challenges and more than a few disasters, and having to deal with family expectations. Ancient Rome, in a lot of ways, was extremely limiting for women. And I didn't want to focus so much on that part and more look at the dynamic between the girls and their growth.
Do you have any favorite scenes in the book that you really enjoyed writing?
I do. I have two, actually. So there's one of Octavia and Helvia going to a gladiator match for the first time. And it was fun doing research and building the excitement of the scene. The other part was these characters were telling a story in a bathhouse. And bathhouses were a fascinating building and extremely important to ancient Rome. So I felt that a small scene in that setting was needed. I think the theme of my favorite scenes were ones that were intriguing to research, but also fun to write.
Are you planning to write a sequel to the book? And will it also be set in ancient Rome?
So, yes, absolutely. I didn't set out thinking this book would need a sequel, but when I finished, there's still so much more for these characters, and their stories aren't over. So I've already started researching and plotting the next book. And I would love to do more in ancient Rome. I've read historical fiction, but I haven't really seen anything this far back, and especially with Sapphic content. So I don't think I'm done with ancient Rome, but I've also started looking into ancient Greece or Egypt for other stories. So hopefully this is just the beginning.
Do you have a message for your readers?
So I'm so grateful for the readers who've stuck with me through this process and have read my books. I'm overwhelmed with just the amount of support, and have loved getting messages from people who've connected with my books. I feel lucky to be a part of such a great group of Sapphic readers. This book, Promises in Pompeii, is a little different from my previous work, but I have so many other ideas and excited to share them with you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us today, Violet. It was lovely to chat to you. If you want to read Violet's book, the pre-order link is below in the description. Thank you for joining us today, and talk soon.